All right.
Because I actually have it recording. I have it recorded now, so Zoom.
Oh, you can record it with Zoom?
Yeah.
Oh,
So I'm
I didn't
recording
know
now,
that.
so I can send it to you.
Okay, cool, cool. So with the Zoom, do you record it any time limit and then you just send it to yourself or what?
Yeah, it records. It saves on my computer,
Okay,
and then I do the link.
gotcha, cool. Um, so yeah, man, the business credit.
um, yeah. So well, first let me thank you for filling out that survey because I'm trying to do like a little course on it. So I wanted to get some people's feedback. So I'm posting in some groups too,
Yeah,
to get an idea of what people are looking for. Um, yeah, I mean, basically, I stumbled upon business credit. I would say like a year ago. I went down this little rabbit hole of, I was like very trendy like a year ago. Like keep hearing people saying get business credit with no PG and not attached to the EIN. So I'm like, what is this? So I started doing a ton of research. I bought a lot of courses. I spent a lot of money like trying to figure this whole thing out. And so in about a year, I got like $45,000 in like business credit. And this year, I'm very confident I can probably, aside from that 45, I'm gonna get like over $100,000.
nice. That's crazy, man. $100,000. That's no joke. Even 45,000. I mean, that's a shit ton of money. That's a lot of. That's the type of money that people are like, looking for a good part of their life, especially to start a business. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly. And that's part of the reason I wanted to do that research because business credit, obviously, the biggest thing is like it doesn't report to your personal credit. So that utilization, you can run all the expenses on that business credit card, and it doesn't report to your personal credit. So that's why it's very advantageous.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And when you say like you got 45,000, you're working on getting 100,000. I'm assuming that's because you're cash flowing, right? Like that's the reason why you're able to get those amounts.
No.
No.
So I'm just kidding because I know you talk about it a lot on your channel. You keep asking like these bankers, is there no PG?
Yeah.
And spoiler alert, there's no such thing as no PG. Um, you have to understand. You have to. Well, let me backtrack. So you can get a PG. You can get no PG, but your business has to generate millions in revenue,
Right.
right? So then you get like corporate credit with no personal guarantee, but you have to be generating millions of dollars in revenue, and you have to put yourself in the bank's position, right? You think they will lend someone based on a paydex score, like, or business that is not generating a ton of revenue? I mean, you have to put yourself in their position, so it doesn't make sense for them. You have to personally guarantee that debt. Um, so, so to answer your question, all my business credit cards are all personally guaranteed. And a year ago, I really wanted to avoid the no PG stuff, but then I started to think about it, and I'm like, I had to change my mindset and think about it like, what does it really matter? Because I don't really plan to default on that card anyway.
Hmm.
Number one. Number two, and if I can get 40, 50, 60, $80,000 me personally guaranteed, I'm going to take that all day because it's just based on your credit profile.
Yeah.
So we have to get out of that mindset that they're going to give us all this ton of money without personally guaranteeing it. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly. And when I asked you, like, like, did you get that money without cash flow? I was asking, did you get that money without cash flow with a no PG, not with a PG, right? But what you're saying, you need to do a PG. Like these banks aren't going to give you a shit ton of money if you're not cash flowing. And I know that there is possibilities out there if you're not cash, or if you are cash flowing to not PG on certain things, like maybe like a Divvy credit card or a Brex credit card, things like that. But from what I'm finding out, like you said, with the banks, there's nobody out there that's going to no PG you with no cash flow and no PG. Unless the only one that I found was Sam's Club MasterCard. And that's the only one that I've seen that's like not asking you for show your cash flow, profit and loss statements, or anything like that with a no PG. But the thing is, why I even got down this rabbit hole myself, kind of like you, was I see these guys on YouTube being like $50,000, $100,000, no PG, no PG, only use your business credit. And so that's why I got into it. And that's why I started getting these net 30 accounts. But I'm learning, just like you said, like, hey man, this no PG thing. It's like it's not real except for that one like MasterCard with Sam's Club. But other than that, if you're a startup and you're trying to get no PG with no cash flow, there really isn't any other options out there for you, except if you PG it.
Yeah, a couple things. Exactly what you said. There's a lot of and I'm gonna name one company that I was gonna look into, and I'm gonna say their name. Credit Suite. I don't know if you heard of it.
Yep, Ty Crandall.
Very, 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 very misleading information. They keep saying up to 250,000 in business credit, and partially that's true, but it's vendor credit. It's not cash cards. It's
right.
not like it's not credit cards that I can use. It's like store cards, like a Home Depot, like a Lowe's, Staples. Mm-hmm. Like to me, that's useless to me. I can't use that for a business. I want cards that I can liquidate or I can use anywhere Visa and MasterCard is accepted. So that they're very misleading. So I was down that rabbit hole again. And then I found out that at the end of the day, what they were talking about was corporate credit, which is like vendor credit, all those vendor, stores. And once I found that out, that no matter what, you're gonna have to PG it. I don't even have any vendor accounts. I don't even have a Paydex score. Another spoiler alert: a Paydex score is so overrated because again, it goes back to your personal credit. They're gonna run your personal credit. You need to be credit worthy in order to get, because these business credit cards, they're still unsecured, meaning you don't have to put collateral, or you don't have to put anything up to get that credit card. It's unsecured. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it is stated income too. That's why I said I don't provide cash flow or anything like that because it's unsecured. Meaning they just go based on my credit profile. Now there's certain things you can do. You have to have like a LLC, you have to have a business phone number, business address, all those things in place to help with the approval so you won't get automatically denied. But 95% of your approval to these banks is going to be based on your personal credit. In fact, I would say all of it is based on your personal credit. So you need to have a strong personal credit score in order to get these business credit cards. And then if you have a LLC like 2 years or older, then you can talk about like business lines of credit, which is better than a business credit card. The difference is a business credit card is just like something you can swipe. A business, what they call block, a business line of credit, it's actual cash, meaning you have a $25,000 business line of credit, you can go to the bank and take out $25,000 cash. They can draw like actual cash from the bank compared to a credit card. But once I found out, it's no matter what, there's no avoiding a PG. I didn't even bother getting any of these Uline and Granger and all these vendor accounts, because you're gonna have to spend all this money monthly, and then at the end of the day, at the end of the road, you're gonna PG it no matter what. So what's really the point?
Yeah.
Again, it goes back to your personal credit. So you really have to work on that. Most banks, I can tell you from all my research, talking to a lot of banks, most banks, you need a minimum of 680. Minimum. I mean, some banks, there could be local banks, you can do less than 680. You need a minimum of 680. But you really, to maximize your funding, you really want to be at least a 730 FICO, right? And then they don't want any lates within the last 24 months, preferably no lates at all. No collection, absolutely no collection, no derogatory items, no public records like tax liens, bankruptcy, unless it's like way back, like years ago. What else? That's kind of pretty much it. Like you want to be at a 730. Oh, another thing they look for is they look for your oldest credit card, your personal credit card with the highest limit. So like they go based on like your highest credit card and your oldest credit card. Uh-huh. They go based on that. That's how they determine kind of how they can give you, a $20,000 business credit card or something like that. So they go off that. You also want to avoid no more than 3 inquiries in the last 6 months. So you want to be careful of applying for all these credit cards. But the beauty of what most people don't know this is a little. I'm gonna drop a little gem here that most people don't know. So a business credit card, when you apply, whether you get approved or not, you get approved or denied, you can remove that inquiry. So what you want to do is you want to apply for like that's why I said in the beginning that I'm very confident I'm going to get at least 100,000 because I'm going to do multiple rounds. Meaning I'm going to apply for 3 to 4 banks, local banks. I'm going to get all these inquiries. Once I'm approved or denied, they're going to get removed. Once they get removed, I can do another set of rounds for other banks and things like that. So it's really focused on your personal credit. I'm going to harp on that because that's what they go off of.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. And that makes sense. And you dropped a lot of knowledge right there. There's a lot of things I could have spoke on, but I wanted to let you, do your thing and let it all out. But there's a lot to digest in everything you just said right there. One of the first things, like how you were saying with the no PG cards, like you were saying, like you want to get money that you can use anywhere, right? At least it's a revolving credit that you can use anywhere, not just in store cards. That's not any use to you. And I'm on the same path. Like I don't have any use for those store cards. I think if somebody does have use, a net 30 account or something like that might be of good use to them. Like if you have a construction business and you're trying to get an OPG Lowe's card or Home Depot card or something like that, then it might be useful. But I think for everyone who's trying to use money to just start up a business and use it anywhere, the net 30s really aren't going to help you at all. And if you don't want to sign up for a PG credit card, like what I did, I spent $700 on net 30s, right? Because I wanted to find out like for myself, because there's people, it's almost like politics. There's people on the left side saying, hey, no PG is the greatest thing, 50K. And then there's people on the right side who are like, hey, man, this is all bullshit. Don't listen to it. So and you got high level people on each side too. So it's like, as a consumer, you're like, all right, well, what do I do? Like, I'm trying to get some money to get something going. So I spent that $700 on the net 30s. And now, like, looking back, reflecting, I'm like, for what I want to do, I don't need any business store cards, right? What I should have done if I was really just trying to do my business credit was put a $500 deposit down on a gas card that I'm actually going to use, and then just use that to get the score up, if I wasn't ready to PG a business card right away. And that's like something I don't even hear nobody talking about, but I'm like, man, that could be really useful. That would have been useful 6 months ago or 4 months ago.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in these groups, like these business credit groups, and they say the same thing. They're like, oh, get 100,000 in business credit. And again, that's partially true, but what they don't tell you is like these are tier 1 like vendor accounts, which is garbage.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna use a Staples credit card. What
exactly.
What I mean? I can just use my Chase American Express card and get rewards for that, as opposed to just that. I can only use that store card there. You know what I mean? So every time they post something, I'm like, yeah, but those are worthless. You got to if you want real cash, like real business credit cards, you got to PG it.
Yeah.
And we'll just have this debate.
It's very misleading. It's very misleading.
It is, especially that company I mentioned. They really push like get up to $250. You should look them up. I was gonna sign up to their program, but then I found out. I mean, and they charge a lot of money for that too.
Yeah. No, I actually they're one of the first people I started looking into, and I got on the call with one of their guys one time. I wasn't for sure gonna do their $3,000 package, but they had no way I was gonna spend that money. I don't got it like that, but they have like a $200 a month package where you could just like read, I guess, a whole guide of shit that they have. But I took the road of doing it myself, and I ended up finding out like this is not the route for me as far as I can see. Like the only thing that's been beneficial, like I said, was that no PG Sam's Club card. That's it, nothing else.
And the Divvy one, I've heard that as long as you have, they go based off your bank activity. So there are some banks, like there's a local bank that I opened up a business checking account. They personally, I have to personally guarantee, obviously, but they also go off of bank activity. So they want to see a lot of deposits.
Yeah.
Going into the bank. Another thing I can, as I'm talking, I can recommend is whenever you want to apply for a business credit card, you want to build a relationship with that bank. So me, if I look at a bank and I look, what I do is I go on their website, look at their business products, and then I give them a call, ask them questions like what kind of business products they offer, and if I like it, what I want to do is open up a business checking account. You want to start a relationship because banks are relationship based. So you want to build that relationship with that banker because it's a lot easier for when you apply for a business credit card or a business line of credit that they're going to pull you up in the system as opposed to someone who doesn't have an account with them.
Yeah.
So that's something to keep in mind. You always want to. I have like 10 business checking accounts. So, and I'm gonna keep applying for other ones that I want to get their products. But that's another gem that I want to jump. That you always want to build a relationship with that bank before you apply. Then you put a deposit. You can wait a couple of days, and then you can apply for that business credit card. So you can get that. See if you qualify for it or not.
Gotcha. Yeah, to kind of break down, because I've been writing stuff down, like as you're talking, to kind of follow back on.
Sometimes I ramble a little bit, so you can interrupt me.
Oh no, it's all good. I'm just writing stuff down as you're going, trying to consume it all. But yeah, so you're saying business line of credit, usually about 2 years in business already, right? And would you say you'd have to be cash flowing at that point, or just be ready to PG?
Yeah, most of them, you're gonna need some sort of activity, cash flow. There could be some banks that it really depends on the line of credit, like how big of a line of credit you want. But to answer your question, most of them would want to see some bank activity, some cash flow in that bank.
Yeah.
Some sort of income coming in.
Okay. And from what I've heard, like it's easiest to get business credit cards over any other like business loan or business line of credit. Is that true in your experience?
Yeah, business credit. Yeah, it's a whole lot easier because anything like a business loan is super hard to get. You're gonna have to provide P&L statements, all these tax documents. It's high doc, meaning like they're gonna ask for a lot of documents. You want to avoid those in the beginning. You want to get like business credit cards. Like I said, that's no doc, meaning you don't have to provide your tax return, your W-2, anything, profit or loss. Business lines of credit, some of them require tax returns, 2-year tax returns. And then anything after 50,000, they're going to require a ton of documents. For any product, like even a business credit card, like they're going to require, if some banks have $50,000, over $50,000 business credit cards, they'll require a lot more documents.
Yeah.
They require a lot of documents basically. Anything other than a business credit card is going to require some sort of documents or tax returns or profit or loss statement.
Got it. So for startups, business credit cards is the way to go, pretty much.
Yeah, and I mean, if you really think about it, they're great because they're revolving.
Yeah.
That's number one. And what I really like to target is 0% interest credit cards, business credit cards, because most of them are like on average 12 to 18 months. And here's another gem. So like let's say a local bank has a business credit card offer for 0% for 12 months, right? So you go ahead and apply for that credit card, and you get approved.
Yeah. After
the 12 months, let's say that business credit card had $20,000, and in that year you ran it up to $20,000, and you weren't able to pay it off for whatever reason. What you can do is just apply for another business credit card from another bank that's 0% interest and roll that balance over there. So you're going to stay interest free for like 2-3 years.
Is it just do a balance transfer? Transfer. Yeah.
Roll that debt from this debt at 0% interest for another 12 months. So you got 24 months to make something happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which is a long time.
Yeah, which is a long time. Yeah, 24 months, 30 months, 26 months, 36 months. So that's another thing, you guys. I like to talk. All my business credit cards are 0% interest for 12 months or 15 months, and then if I run it up and my business idea or whatever I invested in, or if it's jacked up, I'll just roll that over to another business credit card.
Yeah.
At 0%.
Yeah. So, what are a couple business credit cards with 0% interest? I know Navy Federal. I think their Platinum card has 0% interest. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think I just applied for theirs. I don't think their business credit card is 0%.
Oh no, not their business. It was a personal Platinum card, I think. Yeah,
you can do that too. The thing with that is that it'll raise up your utilization.
Right.
Yeah.
But what about business? Yeah, business credit cards with 0%.
Chase is great. American Express, and what you can find some really good gems on your local banks. So that's why I'm focusing on now. I just did major banks. I got Bank of America, Chase, American Express, um, some other bank. But now I'm gonna focus on local banks because those there's so many local banks that you can target, so you'll never really run out of funding.
Yeah.
Because you can just go from bank to bank. And what I like to do is kind of like interview them over the phone or email, ask them what they offer, what's required. That's how I know like certain banks or most banks require documents for business lines of credit, because that's my next step, business credit cards, and then eventually get to business lines of credit, because that's actually better than a credit card because it's actual cash. So if you have like a $50,000 business line of credit, that's $50,000 cash in the bank. It's not like it's not like a credit card
where you can only spend on certain things versus the cash you can just grab and spend on whatever.
Exactly. If I need 50,000 cash to buy a business or whatever it is, or a house, I could just have that in the bank right there.
Yeah.
So.
And you talked about having good credit. 680 minimum, 730 is optimal for that. So you would say anything above 730 is solid.
Yeah, especially now with COVID, it used to be like a 720. I've heard banks they want to see like 740 or 750, but I would say in the middle, anything above 730, you should be good. Another thing, before you apply, you want to make sure. Again, your inquiries are low. Secondly, your personal credit cards, you want to keep that utilization below 30% before you apply.
Below 30%.
Actually, optimal would be below 10%. Excellent would be at 0%.
Mm-hmm.
So, because they don't want to see high utilization. Number one, that's affecting your personal credit score. Number two, they're going to see you have a high balance on that personal credit card, so they can see that.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And it's funny because in the personal credit world, it almost has no use except for emergency, really. Because in reality, as soon as you use it, especially for any business venture or anything like that, you're punished automatically for your utilization versus business credit. They don't care, right? Whatever your utilization is, no matter what.
Yeah, I agree. And that's why I like business. I like business credit because you can separate the personal and the business. For certain cards, you get better rewards. Like Chase, they got amazing rewards. American Express, they got better rewards, like sign-up bonuses, cash back, travel, and the utilization doesn't report. That's probably the biggest thing. The utilization doesn't report to your personal. So you can have 5 business credit cards, and all of them be maxed out, and that has nothing to do with your personal. So you can still do whatever it is you want to do and apply for on your personal side.
Yeah. So in your experience, it's never hurt you if you had like a business credit card with a high utilization. When you went to go apply for another business credit card, did it ever hurt you, affect you in a negative way?
No, but what I've heard some bankers tell me that they like to see your business credit cards below 50%. Like if you're applying for the same bank, like if I have a credit card with a particular bank and I'm applying for another product, they would like to see that one product I have with them below 50%. They don't want to see that maxed out either.
Okay.
But it would only affect that one bank. Like it wouldn't affect other banks.
Okay, so it's not going to take effect if I go from Chase to American Express and my Chase card is 60%.
They can't see that utilization
yet. Okay. Because I know on regular personal they can, right? But not on business.
Right. From what they told me, from my experience.
Okay. And like, let's say somebody, for example, they're trying to get $25,000 in business credit, and they get approved for one business credit card that's like, $10,000. Would you recommend just trying to apply for all the credit at once to try to get that lump sum, or using some of the card and then applying for it later? Or like, what would be your strategy with that if you didn't get all the money on one card that you needed, type of thing?
Yeah, what you can do, here's another gem. What you can do, so let's say you go to this bank, right? And you have 2 LLCs. You apply with one LLC, and let's say you get approved for that 10,000. You can apply with your other LLC because you already know the data points. You already know, okay, I got approved with a 720. You can just apply with your other LLC. So that's 20,000 right there. But to answer your question, yeah, if they have multiple products, you can do what's called an order bump, meaning apply all at once. So you just get that one inquiry instead of multiple inquiries, like applying like 30 days later or 45 days later. You can just apply all at once and you get one inquiry.
Right. But that kind of differs from bank to bank, right? For the one inquiry thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but on average, they really, some banks are credit inquiry sensitive, meaning if you have a lot of inquiries, they don't really care, but a lot of banks do care because it appears to them that you're looking for credit. You're looking thirsty. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly.
So
which in the beginning you are, right? You're trying to get that startup cash to get things going. But
that's why I like business credit too, because you can remove those inquiries on the business side. On the personal side, you can't remove an inquiry if it's attached to an open account. Yeah. You can do it to a closed account, but not an open account.
Right. So
go ahead.
I was going to say, that's what I was going to circle back to on too, as well as when you were saying you can remove those inquiries. Because I know, like you said, on a closed account, but as far as I knew, not an open account. But you're saying you can do that if it's a business inquiry on your personal credit?
Correct.
Okay.
So, yeah. If you get a business credit card inquiry on your credit report, you can remove those because that's on the business side. You can only do that on the business side, whether open or closed. You can do it on the business side. The personal side, you can't. You can only do it on the closed account.
Gotcha. So. And just to clear this up, because it's a little confusing, but you're saying you can remove the hard inquiry that's from a business credit card on your personal side and on your business side.
Yeah, well, that inquiry is going to show up. It's not inquiry doesn't show on your business because you don't have a credit profile for the business. You have a personal credit report, and that business credit card inquiry is going to show on your personal credit report.
Right.
So that inquiry on your personal credit report, you can remove that. If that inquiry came from a business credit card.
Gotcha.
That makes sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And it won't like close down the account or anything like that. No. So do you know why that is?
Because, well, from what I've been told, they can't, the credit bureaus can't, because those are two separate entities. You have a personal and a business. If the business is shown on the personal, as far as the inquiry, it's not supposed to be there. It can get removed. And secondly, on the personal credit side, on the personal credit report, that inquiry doesn't show if it's an open or closed account. If it's from a business inquiry, so it won't show like, oh, there's an open account on it. It'll just show as an inquiry. So that's how you remove it.
Gotcha. And you would just write in a letter like, "Hey, this is for my business," or do you just deny any connection with it at all?
Deny.
Okay.
You can say it was an unauthorized inquiry.
Okay.
So you send a letter saying it was you looked at your credit report, you see some unauthorized inquiries.
Yeah.
It could be fraud, right?
Yeah.
You don't know if it is. You need to remove immediately, and then they'll remove it.
Yeah. Yeah. See, that's the kind of scary part because you're like, oh, what if it shuts down? But you're saying it don't shut down.
I have removed all my inquiries.
Nice. How many times have you done that out of curiosity?
3 times.
3 times?
I'll tell you right now, the hardest bureau, Experian is super easy.
Really? I feel like I've been trying to get a collection removed. I feel like Experian's been hard.
I'm talking about inquiries specifically.
Yeah.
They're super easy to get removed. I can, after this call, I can tell you what to do.
Yeah, for sure.
TransUnion is a pain in the ass.
Really?
They're a real pain in the ass. They take a while to get removed.
Yeah.
Like I haven't applied for my second round of funding because they're still not removing my stuff. But Experian is super easy. And most business credit cards, they only pull from my experience, depending on the bank, Experian and TransUnion. So whenever they pop up in Experian, I just get it removed next day.
Got it. So they're usually pulled from Experian and TransUnion.
Yeah. I feel like Equifax, but from the cards that I've applied, is Experian and TransUnion.
Yeah, I feel like in general, Equifax is rarely pulled. Experian, to me, it seems like it's probably the most, used overall. But you're also saying no lates within 24 months. Would you say that's a clear-cut line? Like if you have any lates within 24 months, just don't even apply, don't even, risk the hard inquiry and all that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I would try to get those. They don't really want, especially due to COVID. They tighten up their lending requirement. I would really push to get that late removed within the last 24 months. They really don't want to see lates at all.
Yeah.
But at least not within, if it's 3-4 years, then they can be like, okay, that was a long time ago. He's made on-time payments ever since that late. But yeah, to answer your question, I would recommend if you can try to get those lates removed, because you want to get the maximum funding.
Yeah.
So you want to go in there with a good profile, and you don't have to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Because for me, I've been in the repair mode for my personal credit like over the last 2 years, and I have a couple late payments back from 2018, and I was thinking to myself, like, is this really going to affect me? I've been trying to get them removed with goodwill letters and stuff like that, and I've gotten probably 3 or 4 removed so far, but some of them just aren't going anywhere. So I was kind of thinking, should I delete the account, but then I'm not going to have any history, and then I'm going to have to rebuild everything. So I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? So
yeah, you don't want to. Glad you brought that up. You don't want to remove, delete, or close. I should say close. You don't want to close your oldest credit card or your oldest payment history, because then you're going to lose all that payment history.
Yeah,
your score is going to drop a lot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can try local banks, like some local banks, and see if you can get around those late. I mean, that was 3 years ago, so that's more than 24 months. So, and then worst case, you can get those inquiries removed.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and then you said no collections. If they're from over 2 years ago, what would you say for that, for somebody in that position?
Yeah, I would. You got to get them removed.
Regardless, got to get them removed.
They really don't like. They don't like late payments, but like I said, if a late payment was 5 years ago and you made on-time payments since then,
yeah,
they can see that. But collections, they don't like to see any derogatory items.
Yeah.
And this is me speaking to the banks, like underwriters. They don't like to see collections or derogatory items on the credit report. They like to see a clean profile.
Yeah. So get those off for sure before you get any business credit card.
Right.
Gotcha. And then you were saying that they look into your oldest credit card account and then your highest limit credit card account. And so that you're saying they kind of take those two and kind of help those both be a factor based on what your credit limit's going to be, basically?
Yeah, because you got to think, again, you got to put yourself in their shoes. Why would I give you a $20,000 business credit card when your highest limit is only $1,000?
Yeah, exactly. No, it makes sense.
You have to be able to manage some sort of a limit, and it has to have some age on it too. You know, that's why I said they look at the oldest credit card with the highest limit. So yeah, you wanna another tip. These they're coming off to my head.
Yeah.
Another tip: if you want to maximize funding, before you apply, obviously you want to make sure your credit report's good, your utilization's low. You want to try to get a credit line increase on your credit cards before you apply.
Right.
That way you try to maximize funding, get optimal funding.
Yeah, and that's currently what I'm trying to do right now as well. What would you say is a good limit for somebody who's like what would you say their highest limit should be, like at minimal, basically?
At minimal, 5,000.
5,000.
Yeah, they really like to see 10,000, but 5,000 is a good barometer. It's a good minimum.
Yeah. For someone like me, I just came into the knowledge recently of you can get a credit limit increase, right? I never even knew that before. I thought, just after years and years, once you apply for a credit card, they'll just magically give you 10,000 one day. I had no idea you could call the bank and be like, hey, I need a credit limit increase, stuff like that. So that's all new information to me within, I would say, the last year or so. But I think that's important information too for people to know, because if you got a low limit personal, then you're going to get a low limit business most likely. And there's a lot of people out there that are saying you can get 10x whatever your personal highest limit is most likely. What would you say? Is that accurate, or what would you say in your experience?
Yeah, usually it's actually 5 times what your highest limit is. It's not. I've never heard 10. Based on my experience, it's 5 times what your highest limit.
Okay.
So my highest limit about a year ago I had a $5,000 credit card. Now that credit card is $20,000, but that $5,000 they kind of went off that $5,000 credit card because it was my oldest and my highest, and they gave me about 5 times of what that credit card was.
Got it. So you got like around 25,000.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I got it. I got 45 within 4 cards, but they typically like to go a minimum of 5,000. They'll give you 5 times. As far as total funding, they'll give you 5 times.
Oh, so total funding. You're not saying on one card 5 times. Gotcha. Okay. So for someone like me, like I got about a $3,000 limit, so they're most likely going to be around 15,000 total.
Yeah,
between everything.
Every bank is different, so you can't go off that because local banks compared to national banks, these are all national banks.
You're saying like American Express, Bank of America.
Yeah. A local bank is different because a local bank, they're portfolio lenders, meaning they lend their own money. They have their own underwriting. Chase has a pretty, across the board is the same underwriting, right? A local bank, since they lend their own money, their approval system is a little different. You know what I mean?
They're more personal.
Higher limit. What was that?
Are they like more personal? Would you say, right. Or okay?
Yeah, exactly that. They have to lend that money out because they're portfolio lenders. So those you can get a higher limit compared to like a Chase or other bank. Those, especially now with COVID, they're lending out more than bigger banks. Like Chase has cut down a little bit because of COVID. They're a little bit more strict with their lending requirements. So local banks is a good place to start.
So in your experience, small banks are going to be more open to lending bigger amounts of money.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So lend more credit. Gotcha. That's a good solid point to have because I honestly, like me, I didn't really think about small banks that much, like credit unions and stuff like that. Yeah, but really smaller banks, especially locally, never really thought of applying for business credit with them.
You'll be surprised.
Yeah, no, for sure. It sounds like they would be a place to go based on your experience. Let's see here. So, like, as far as credit unions go, let's talk about Navy Federal. Have you had any experience with them? I've seen people dropping YouTube videos and stuff like that saying like, hey, I got $20,000 on one card, and I had a low personal high limit before that, and they bumped me up to 20 G, something crazy like that.
Yeah, I actually have a personal and a business checking. I literally just applied like 2 days ago or a day ago for their business credit card. So I haven't got a decision yet. But yeah, to answer your question, I don't have a personal credit card with them, but they do give out bigger limits because I helped my cousin with his credit. I fixed his credit up a little bit, and I just applied for his Navy Federal, and he got 10,000, and he had like a 670, and he got 10,000, which 10,000 is a really good start.
Yeah.
And I've heard people, like you said, get 20,000, they got like a 620. So I don't know what their rhyme or reason is, but they do give out high limits for credit cards, at least personal.
Yeah. Was your cousin's limit, personal limit before that, anywhere close to 10,000 on one of his credit cards?
He actually didn't have any credit cards.
Oh, he had no credit cards at all.
So that's what I mean.
Holy smoke! There's no rhyme
or reason. I don't know why. I've heard the same story as you. I've heard a guy with 550 and he got 25,000. Like I don't,
Yeah.
I don't know what their underwriting is, but they're very generous with their credit cards.
Yeah. Nah, I mean that's crazy. Yeah, my first credit card, I got like a $300 limit with Wells Fargo. So that's nuts.
Yeah, they're a good bank though.
Yeah, no, for sure. I established just a savings business account with them, and then a personal checking account with them as well. And then basically, I'm just waiting to get my credit score up to where I feel like it's most optimal, probably around that 730 range across the board. And then from there, I'm going to apply for probably their business credit card. How was their business credit card getting approved for it? Was it hard or?
No, I mean, you just have to fill out an application. I was disappointed that you can't do it on the website. You have to fill out an application, then you have to submit it to their portal, and it takes 2 to 3 business days to process. So I still haven't got a verdict yet. So I'll keep you posted as far as that. I'm not sure, if I'm gonna get approved or not, but
yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. If you drop a video on that, I'm sure there's gonna be hella people that want to watch that and see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I asked, that's what you got to ask these bankers. I asked, like, do you offer business lines of credit? How old does the LLC have to be? They said you need to be 2 years and you need to provide tax returns. So I said, forget that. Let me just do the business credit card. They offer term loans, but they ask for documents for that.
Yeah.
So, you got to ask these bankers, like, what kind of documentation do they need for their products, especially like business lines of credit? Because I'm going to do more research. I'm hearing that there's certain banks, you could be a year in business. It depends, like local banks, you could be a year in business and get that business line of credit and provide very low documentation.
Yeah.
So it's good to call these banks and just ask them questions and see how they work.
Yeah. Now it seems like even from the little experiments I've been doing on my channel calling these different banks, they all have different requirements. Some of them, the bigger banks are obviously in the same ballpark, but still they differ from bank to bank.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. And then you were saying for a lot of these business credit cards, you just have to do stated income. And I feel like that's kind of a touchy area because I've seen people say, only put what you've made. And I've seen other people say, put what you anticipate to make. So in your experience, like what do you do for the stated income portion for these business credit card applications?
Yeah, it's kind of what you said. I mean, I felt that when I was applying, I was juggling with that. But you just go off, I can't tell you what to put, but I will say, just put your projection. If it's 100,000, if you think you're gonna make 100,000 or more, hint, I would put that.
Yeah. No, because I was gonna do that recently, and then I just typed in Google like, what happens if your stated income is not, what you say it is, and it was like 5 years in jail, prison time, something crazy like that. So I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't hype myself up too much.
From what I've heard, if you put over 150,000, then they start to get a little. They start to like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
They might audit you. But the worst thing they can do, let's say you put 180. Let's just say that 180, and you get the credit card. What they can do, they have the legal right to do, is like do an audit and maybe ask you for documentation proving you made 180,000. And if you don't, they'll just cut your limit off or close their account.
Yeah.
But I've never heard of anybody like really get in trouble for that. I mean, It's really not a big deal. It's just a projection. Also, you can include like your total household income. Like you can put a projection on your business revenue. This is what I thought I was gonna make. I didn't make it.
Yeah.
I have no control over that. I'm projecting 120,000 in revenue in 2021.
Yeah, and especially as a business like just starting, like if you just start and you only made 10,000 the last 6 months, I mean, are you just gonna put 10,000, or are you gonna put what you project to make?
Yeah, I would put over. I mean, again, I can't tell you what to put.
Right.
I don't want people to reach out to me like, you told me this. This guy said,
get a couple of lawsuits.
But I will say, it's projection. And the best results from my experience is over 6 figures.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't quote me on that.
Yeah. And you can include your personal income, can't you, into that?
It'll actually your personal and your total household income.
Yeah.
So you can exaggerate that too.
Yeah.
They're not asking for it's just an estimation, and it's unsecured, like meaning they're not asking for you to prove that. They're not asking for your W-2 or your business tax return. So
yeah,
but you don't want to go too crazy. You don't want to put I make 400,000.
Yeah, exactly. You got to use some common sense too. Yeah. So in your experience with business credit cards, do any of them really require like P&L statements, tax returns, anything like that?
Not for business credit cards. I do actually. This is why I should have asked before I opened the account. I opened up a business checking account with a local credit union, and then I asked about the business credit card, and they actually do require tax returns, 2-year tax returns just for a credit card. And I just decided not to open. I closed the account.
Yeah.
So, because I don't provide that for just a business credit card. If it was like a business line of credit, then that would make more sense. But just for a business credit card, I just move on to the next bank,
Yeah.
And I don't need to provide that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's move on.
For someone just starting, like let's say somebody's fresh, you know, they got a good credit score, LLC's been around for like let's say a year or so, and they're trying to get their first business credit card, but they're trying to get the max amount of funding that they can get. What are the couple business credit cards that you would recommend applying for that would best give them the chance of getting the highest limit?
I would recommend, and I really like Chase. I like Chase because they
Mhm.
have a couple business credit cards that are 0% interest. I like them. They got good cash back. Me personally, and not just like their bank. And then I would call local banks. I would call local banks to see what they offer, see what they require for just a business credit card. See
Okay.
what bureau they pull from. That way you can see which score is your highest and what bureau. If your Experian is a 750, but your Equifax is a 720, find a bank that pulls from Experian so you can get that 750.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
what I would do.
No, that makes sense. How many times can you do a balance transfer? Can you do that? Like, can you go back and forth between the same two cards, or
No, you can. So I mean, I've never tried it. I'm not sure. I mean, you can transfer from one card to another card, and then that card to another card.
yeah,
It's really endless when you really think about it. But I don't know if you could go back and forth. I don't want to say you can or you can't because I don't know honestly.
yeah, but you could at least go from card to card to card.
Yeah, exactly.
If you had a few different ones.
So as long as that offer is there, where you can balance transfer any debt, you can do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And let's see. I'm gonna start going down a list here. We kind of went on all sorts of crazy tangents, but
I was just like, every time I came up with, oh, you guys should do this.
it was all good information, though. It was all solid information. I'm glad we talked about all those things. So one of the questions I got here is, what is possible with business credit for like a startup, for somebody who may have like $0 revenue, gross revenue? What would you say is possible, like business credit, if they're willing to PG it, obviously, of course.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. What causes businesses to fail in the first couple of years of business? It's lack of capital. So if you have access to 30, 40,000, let's just say 40,000, you can spend it all on inventory. If you have some sort of retail shop or online, you can do a marketing. You can spend a lot of money on marketing, advertising, employees, infrastructure. I mean, it's just endless because at the end of the day, a business needs capital in order to invest in that business, to grow that business. So if you have a business where you have access to capital, you can use that capital. And the best part about it is it's not your money, it's someone else's money. So you're using leverage, you're leveraging someone's money to build your business, and then you pay back that. You pay back that debt with your profits. And like I said, I like to target 0% interest credit cards because it gives you a runway. It gives you 12 months to ramp up the marketing, to ramp up the business, to invest in the business, watch it grow, and then you have some leeway to make up, to get it going.
Yeah.
That way, instead of just like, you're paying 20% interest on a credit card right away, it's better to have something where you can not pay any interest for a certain period. That way you can invest all the profit, invest in the business.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then as far as like how much money they can get, what would you say like is possible? Like if their personal, let's say their personal income is, around 40,000 a year, but they're just starting up a business. They just started an LLC 3 months ago. Is it possible for them to get 20 grand to get their business started, or what would you say, like kind of in your experience?
20 grand is not. You gotta put it like this: as long as your personal credit score is in place, you'll never run out of money because everything, again, they go off your personal credit report. And if you have a personal credit report, you'll never run out of money. You can apply to this bank, get, let's just say 6,000. You go to another bank, you get 7,000. You go to another bank, you get 8,000. You'll never run out of money because they're going off your personal credit report. And it's, again, as long as that bank doesn't require documents, it's all stated income and unsecured, meaning you don't have to put any money. They're going based off your credit report, personal credit report. So if you have a 730 or whatever it is, you can. It's endless to answer your question. Like you can never. 20,000 is at minimum. I would say 20,000 at minimum if you have a good personal credit report. like a
Gotcha.
personal credit score.
Gotcha. Okay. And then let's see. So how long have you been experimenting, I guess, with business credit overall?
I would say like 10 months.
Last two
But
months.
I would say the last 3 months, I've learned a lot more than the last 7 months. I learned more as far as like what to look for, what the banks are looking for, and I've come out with I'm more strategic now as opposed to experimenting. You know what I mean? These next couple months, I'm being very strategic. Like I said, I'm already building relationships. I have like 5 banks, bank accounts that I've opened for new banks, local banks. I've asked what they require. I've seen their business credit cards and products. So I'm more strategic now than I was 7 months ago.
Gotcha. What's your kind of game plan with this next round that you're going for to get that 100K? Like, what's your strategy kind of with that?
Yeah, so I've opened like 5 bank accounts, right? And I've looked at all their products, and I've heard of people get 15, 20,000, and they got 680s, 710 credit score. I have a 800 FICO. So I'm thinking this is just me thinking. If they can get 15,000, 20,000 with that score, I know my profile is strong, it's thick. I have a lot of age. I have a lot of credit cards. I should be able to get at least 5,000 more than them. I'm just going to be very conservative. So if I can get, let's just say 20,000 from each bank, that's 100,000. Even if I fall short and I get 60, I'll just remove the inquiries and apply for another 4 or 5 rounds, 4 or 5 banks, and do the same thing. So that's kind of where I'm headed as far as like what I plan to do. I've opened relationships. I'm making some deposits, making sure my inquiries are low, making sure my utilization is low on the personal side, and then I'm going to apply, and I'm going to do it all at the same time, like within a day or two. And then, depending on the approval amounts, then I'll focus on removing the inquiries and apply for another round. Gotcha. And you can do it several times throughout the year. That's what I mean. It's not, you got to think about it like this. If you have 5 banks, and at the minimum you get 5 from each bank, that's 25,000. If you do that 3 times, that's 75,000. 3 times in a year, I mean, right? If you do that, if you space it out every couple months, you get 25,000 from 5 different banks, and you do that 3 times a year, that's 75,000.
Yeah, and that can add up real quick.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just a minimum. 5,000 that's the bare minimum. That's nothing.
Yeah. And then as far as credit limit increases go, are you still trying to increase your personal limits? Are you kind of leaving that be, or are you trying to increase your business limits? Are you kind of doing both, or where are you at currently with that?
Yeah, I'm actually doing both. From remember I told you my lowest card was a Bank of America 5,000. Now it's up to 20,000. I did that all within like 8 months. I want all my personal credit cards to have high limits because, again, they go off your personal credit report. So if I have a $25,000 personal credit card and it's my oldest card, I would assume I'm going to get a bigger limit on the business side. And the business side, I'm just using it, paying it off, using it, paying it off, and the same thing with my personal.
Gotcha. Okay.
Use it, pay it off, use it, pay it off.
And you said you went from 5K to 20K in 8 months?
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. That's 4X in 8 months.
People say apply every 6 months.
Yeah.
I apply every 2 months or 3 months. As I have, when you log into like Bank of America and you go to your personal credit your bank account and you go to that credit card, you'll see like offers. If you're using your card a lot, you'll see offers like request a credit line increase. As soon as I see that offer, boom, I'm applying, and I'm applying. I'm not over applying, meaning I'm not telling them, oh, I want to go from 5,000 to 20,000. I'm doing like $5,000 increments. You know what I mean? So I'm doing like, oh, my next increase is gonna be 5,000, because then you just get denied. Sometimes they'll counter, but most of the time, if you try to do too much for that credit limit, you just get flat out denied.
Yeah.
If you do like limits like 3 to 5, you're more likely to get approved.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, the best thing is just keep using it, and they'll see that you're using it and there's a lot of activity there, so
Mhm.
they're more likely to approve you when you request that credit line increase. Another thing is you want to make sure it's not like a hard inquiry; it's just a soft one. So
Right,
Bank of America,
right, yeah,
soft.
definitely,
Yeah,
100%. That's one
exactly.
thing I learned recently too, as well, is that soft pull. You don't want that hard pull for no reason. You might as well get a new credit card.
Exactly. You might as well just get a new card because it's pointless at that point.
Yeah, and I did notice with Bank of America, because that's actually the one I have the highest limit on, which is about 3,000. I went from 1,000 to 3,000 actually recently within the last like 2 months. But I've been with them. I've had a credit card with them for probably like 4 years, about 4 years. Um, but I found out that they don't have a certain time limit, a certain time span for their credit limit
Right.
increases.
That's
They're
what I
like
mean.
whenever.
Exactly. That's what I mean. As soon as I see that offer, like I log into my stuff all the time and I see if there's an offer, request credit line increase, boom, I apply right away. Or I'll call them and ask them, can I get approved for a credit line increase?
Yeah,
And then they'll tell me no or yes, and I just keep applying too.
yeah,
So one thing that I like to do is like sometimes you can't like you don't want to like spend money that you don't really have. So what you can do is just ask your friends and family if they're looking to purchase a big purchase. Tell them you can use my credit card. Just give me the cash.
yeah.
They use your credit card. They give you the cash. You pay it back. That way they see bigger purchases on your credit card.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. You said you apply every 2 to 3 months. And what's your strategy in terms of using that card? Like, because what I was thinking for me, what I was going to do, my strategy was going to be with that $2,900 card, is max that out before the statement date, and then pay it off, and then have it report as zero on the statement date, and do that for like I was originally planning like probably around 6 months, maybe 3 months. But now, since you said you had that experience going from 5 to 20K in 8 months, I feel way more confident to do it in two. So,
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That's a good point. You want to max it out, pay it off, max it out, pay it off. That's a good strategy that works because they see that they're gonna be like, oh, this guy needs we need to increase his limit because he's not meeting his spending requirements.
yeah.
He needs more money to spend, and they like that because they're lending you the money, and they think you're gonna be paying interest on that. So yeah, that's a good strategy there to increase that.
Is that what you did with your Bank of America card? Did you max it out all the way, or did you just use like half of it, or what did you do? Just out of
Yeah, I didn't.
curiosity.
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't max it out like that. I just used it a lot.
Okay.
Like small, like $100 purchases here and there. Every so often, I'll do like $1,000, $2,000 transaction, but I didn't actually have to max it out
Yeah.
like every day or every month to get that increase. They're very they've been generous to me. I mean, I do have them. They're my oldest card. It's like 8 years, so I don't know if that plays a role, but I don't think so. I would just do what you're doing and
Yeah.
just keep asking them because it's a soft pull anyway, so it doesn't affect you anyway.
Right.
Just
Right.
keep asking them for credit line increases.
Exactly. I mean, so like especially when you start to get, it's easier to spend obviously 3,000 than 15,000, right? So when you're getting those credit limit increases, when you already got a pretty high limit already, like 15,000 plus, are you getting anywhere close to that, like 80-90% of utilization before you pay it off? Or are you just like 50%, or like what are you getting
Yeah,
at?
I'm actually not. No, I'm not. Like I said, I'm not really maxing it out. I'll probably spend for 15. I'll probably spend like $3,000, $2,000,
Uh-huh.
nothing more than that. And especially now because I'm in the process of purchasing a home, so I can't be spending that utilization. But to answer your question, from my experience, I haven't had to max it out like that for this
Gotcha.
particular car. They've been very generous. I just use it a lot.
Yeah.
I just use it. There's a lot of activity there,
Yeah.
but I haven't had to max it out.
Yeah, that's cool. That's actually a lot easier, obviously, right? But I'm really surprised at the same time because you know how they say, you know how it shows like what's the highest amount you ever spent on this card. So I was thinking for them to increase you gotta at least be like that 90% bracket of whatever your limit is for them to want to increase you. Because my train of thought was like, oh, if you're not even using the credit that we got you, why would we increase it more? You know what I'm saying? That's what I was thinking. But it sounds completely opposite with what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean that is true what you're saying. They can see all that. They can see the highest limit you spend on that credit card. But again, from my personal experience, I haven't had to max it. Like right now, it's when it was at 15, the max I spent was like $4,000, and then I paid it off. But I haven't had to go over $5,000 to answer. I haven't had to go over $5,000, not even once. I just use it a lot. You know, I use it for everyday purchases and things like that. And then as soon as I log in or I call them, can I get a credit line increase? What would you like? I just tell them 5,000, and then they've done it.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome, man. That's a strategy I'm going to use with that card for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and they're going to pull your credit. They do a soft pull, so
right.
If your credit score is good too, that'll play a little factor as well.
Yeah, it definitely helps, for sure. Cool. Well, man, we chalked it up. I don't even know what the time is on this call. I think we've been chalking up for like at least an hour though, or something close to it.
I go off a little bit on a tangent sometimes.
Nah, it's all good, man. We were just ping-ponging, bouncing off each other with business credit and stuff. But aside from the business credit stuff, like I looked at your channel. I know you're in real estate. It seems like you kind of got some side hustles too with like I seen like t-shirts, like you sold 6Gs and t-shirts, which that was pretty dope. Like tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I do it all. No, I'm just kidding. No, but my main thing is I like internet marketing and stuff, but I do real estate, specifically a term called wholesaling real estate, where you can flip a house and you don't need any money or any of your own credit to flip that house. You're just assigning that contract. And to actually piggyback off that, the house I'm buying now, I use my business credit. I use my business credit to fund the down payment. Mm-hmm. And this is why I like again business credit, because I put 10,000. I took 10,000 from one of my business credit cards, and that 10,000 is going to be used for my down payment. But the mortgage company can't see any of that utilization, so they have no idea, where that money came from. I mean, they don't have where that money came from, because they're looking at the credit cards and they're all at zero, and that's why I like business credit.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, definitely. Because if you were doing that on your personal credit, you're screwed at that point.
Yeah, that's why you want to keep that utilization low. But that's another reason. So for real estate, I can buy homes. I'm actually looking to fix and flip, and I'm going to use all my business credit cards to fund that deal, fix it, rehab, and then sell it. And then when I sell it, I'll just pay back whatever I use from those business credit cards, pay back, and then rinse and repeat.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. I was going to say, if you're down, we should do a real estate video next time. And then you could tell everybody, all of my viewers too, like about what you do, kind of your experience with that, how somebody else could get started, different stuff like that with real estate. Because I know real estate, there's a lot of different avenues and stuff that you can go down. So
yeah, absolutely. I'm down. I'm just trying to provide some sort of value to people, Yeah. That's why I created a YouTube channel. Provide value and see if I get something in return,
Yeah. So where can people find you at? On social media, YouTube, all that stuff?
Yeah, so my YouTube channel, you can just type in YouTube, the search bar, Toby Rosario, and I should come up. I talk a lot about real estate, but I've been talking a lot about credit and business credit recently. So if you guys want to check that out as well.
Yeah, for sure. I'll tag you in the link too, for sure.
Appreciate it, man.
So yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on today. I appreciate all the advice, all the experience. It's super helpful, not only for me, but for everybody who's going to watch this video too, as well.
Thank you, man.
Yeah. All right, brother. I will talk to you later.
Okay.
All right. Stay up, man. Take care.